Welcome to my YouTube channel Wise Whispers, where silence speaks. My name is Edison, and I am 64 years old. I never imagined that one Christmas day, meant to be full of warmth and family, would become the day my own son yelled at me so loudly that the whole house fell silent. That morning began like every Christmas I had known for decades. The smell of cinnamon and roasted turkey filled the kitchen. Soft music played in the background, and the living room glowed with the lights of the Christmas tree. I had woken up early, like I always did, to prepare breakfast for my family. Family meant everything to me. But that day, something was different. My son Daniel came downstairs looking irritated. He barely greeted me. His wife sat on the couch scrolling through her phone, and the atmosphere felt cold despite the holiday spirit. I tried to ignore it. "Good morning, son," I said with a smile. "Merry Christmas." He muttered something under his breath and poured himself coffee. I continued setting the table. I had prepared pancakes, eggs, and hot chocolate, Daniel's favorite since he was a child. But instead of smiling like he used to when he was little, he suddenly slammed his cup on the table. "Dad, when are you going to stop interfering in my life?" he snapped. The words hit me like a cold wind. I don't understand," I replied quietly. His voice grew louder. "You act like this house is still yours. You keep telling me how to run things, what to do, how to manage money. I'm not a child anymore." The room went silent. His wife looked away. The Christmas lights flickered softly as if they were embarrassed for me. I felt my chest tighten, but I tried to stay calm. "Daniel," I said gently, "I only give advice because I care about you." But that only made him angrier. "I didn't ask for your advice," he shouted. For a moment I could not speak. I looked at the boy I had raised, the boy I once carried on my shoulders, the boy who used to run to me with excitement on Christmas mornings. Now he was yelling at me. "You make everything about you," he continued. "Maybe it's time you let us live our own lives." The words cut deeper than he knew. I slowly nodded. "If that's how you feel," I said quietly. I finished placing the plates on the table and sat down without saying another word. Breakfast passed in complete silence. No laughter. No joy. Just the sound of forks against plates. Later that afternoon, Daniel and his wife left the house to visit friends. Before leaving, he barely looked at me. "Merry Christmas," I said softly. He didn't answer. The door closed behind them, and the house suddenly felt enormous and empty. I sat in my chair for a long time, staring at the Christmas tree. Memories flooded my mind. Daniel opening gifts when he was 6, hugging me when he was 10, asking me for advice when he bought his first car. Where had that boy gone? Eventually, I stood up and walked slowly to my room. I opened an old wooden box where I kept important papers. There was something Daniel didn't know. Years ago, after my wife passed away, I had started saving money quietly. I had also invested in a small property that had grown in value over time. My plan had always been simple: surprise Daniel one Christmas by transferring everything to him so he could live comfortably. It was supposed to be my final gift as a father. But after what happened that morning, I wasn't sure anymore. Still, love is strange. Even after being hurt, a father's heart continues to care. So instead of changing my plan, I made a phone call. By evening, everything was arranged. Night fell and snow began to cover the streets. The house looked peaceful again under the glow of Christmas lights. Around 9 p.m., Daniel and his wife returned home. They were laughing as they entered the house, but when they saw me sitting quietly in the living room, the laughter faded. "Dad," Daniel said awkwardly. I stood up slowly. "I have something for you," I told him. He looked confused. "For me?" I handed him a small envelope. "What's this?" he asked. "Just open it." He tore the envelope carefully. Inside was a document. As his eyes scanned the paper, his face slowly changed. Confusion. Shock. Then complete silence. "Dad, this says." "Yes," I replied gently. "The property downtown, the savings account, everything has been transferred to your name." His hands began to shake. "You're giving all this to me," he whispered. I nodded. It was always meant to be your Christmas gift. For the first time that day, Daniel looked directly into my eyes. And suddenly, the weight of his words from the morning seemed to hit him. After the way I spoke to you, he said quietly. I smiled sadly. You're my son, nothing changes that. The room became very still. Then something unexpected happened. Daniel dropped the paper onto the table and stepped toward me. His voice broke. Dad, I'm so sorry. Tears filled his eyes, something I hadn't seen since he was a child. I was stressed and angry, but that doesn't excuse what I said. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that. For a moment, he couldn't continue. Then he hugged me tightly. I don't deserve this gift, he whispered. I placed my hand on his shoulder. Sometimes the greatest lesson isn't the gift, I said softly. It's realizing the value of the people who love you. Daniel wiped his eyes. I promise, he said, I'll never forget this night. And in that moment, I realized something important. The real shock that awaited my son that night wasn't the money or the property. It was the realization that love still existed, even after harsh words. The Christmas lights shimmered quietly behind us. For the first time that day, the house finally felt warm again. Moral of the story: anger can damage relationships in seconds, but kindness and forgiveness have the power to heal hearts and teach lessons that last a lifetime. Read